My name is Joseph Nemeth. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. I'll be your presenter today, and what we'll be doing is looking at the structure of the Genius Trading Systems, what it is, how it works, how you can benefit by it, and what kind of results you can expect, provided that you are a somewhat experienced trader. So, what is Genius Trade? But first things first, I guess I'm supposed to read this. Genius Trading System does not provide or offer financial advice. Any and all information contained in this presentation or on the geniustradingsystems.com website or obtained from any affiliate of geniustradingsystems.com is strictly for educational and informational purposes. Trading in any financial markets is risky and therefore not suitable to all investors, and past performance is not a guarantee of future results. So having said that, I guess we can dive right in and go into Genius Trading Systems, the greatest innovation in trading in the last 10, 15, maybe 20 years. So what we're going to look at is what is GTS and why you need it. Really, at the end of the day, it will be up to you to decide whether you need it or not. Then we'll look at problems with the old style trading and the old style trading charts, how GTS is different, how we set up the GTS charts, the characteristics of GTS charts and the advantages of using those. Then we will look at the use of the 3-in-1 and 5-in-1 trading strategy. In fact, I'll show you a real life example. And for some of the serious users or serious traders, we'll look at being able to achieve some of your goals using the system and looking at some of the best markets to trade. Now, so what is the Genius Trading Systems? If you log on to the geniustradingsystems.com site, you will find right on the home page that the Genius Trading System is a revolutionary, new, and unique system of intelligent charts and proprietary indicators. So it is not just indicators; it is charts and indicators and a system of trading that all work together as a system. That's why we call it a system. And the main purpose of the system is not really predict the market, because I don't believe anybody can do that. Anybody that tells you that they know what the market is going to do tomorrow, well, they will probably lie about other things too. What we try to do is identify the prevailing trend in which the individual market is finding itself in. So we do not predict, we identify, and based on that identification, it gives us the ability or a better opportunity to enter and exit a trade. So let's look at what the world has been doing and what the traders, primarily day traders and long-term traders, just typically traders, the charts that they use. So this is a typical chart that anybody would be using, an old style traditional chart. As you see, it shows the price of the underlying equity. This is the S&P 500 index in this instance. You see the price movement on the green and red bars, and then there's a bunch of lines. Some of them might be Bollinger Bands, and some of them might be Kelton channels, and some of them might be moving averages, etc., etc. Then size and MACDs and all these other indicators that you see here at the bottom, right? So, and the purpose, pretty much the purpose of these charts is to predict for the trader the direction of the market. As I said, GTS does not predict the future direction of the market. It uses these types of indicators, except you don't see them. We hide everything behind the screen, if you will. We use algorithms to form what you see here into something that is more easily read and more easily understandable. So this is the old way of trading, and there's the other system of old ways of trading is because the old system measures the price and time. And so what we are looking at is a daily chart of NASDAQ. Actually, this is NQ, the NASDAQ futures, but it doesn't matter. It's pretty much the same thing. So we're looking at the daily chart of NASDAQ. The typical daily chart doesn't have a whole lot of indicators except one moving average, and here that's that squiggly line in blue. And so when you're looking at this chart, where would you say the direction of the market is, right? That's the question. Now, anybody would look at this and they would say, well, the direction of this market is down, right? it looks like it's down. At least I would think so. Over time on a daily chart, the market is going down. So as a trader, what should I do? Should I buy here or should I sell? Well, let me look at another chart. Let me look at maybe a daily, an hourly chart, a 60-minute chart. Well, this is the 60-minute chart of the very same thing, right? Taken at the very same time. Well, what's going on here? Which direction is this market moving? It's the same Nasdaq. The screenshot shot was taken at the very same time, and I would think it would appear that this market probably wants to go up, or at least that's what I think. Maybe you think differently, but it definitely looks different from here, even though it is the very same thing at the very same time, right? So now let's get even more granular and let's look at the 15-minute chart of the very same thing, the very same underlying instrument Nasdaq, and this is on a 15-minute chart. Well, what's going on here? Well, which direction is this market going? Same market, but I would think this is kind of uncertain. It might be going sideways. So let's take it one step further, okay? So let's take it to a 5-minute chart, right? So what's going on with the 5-minute chart? Where's this market going? I can't tell, right? I can't tell. Can you tell? It's up, down, goes every direction. So what people do, because on every time frame the market behaves differently. So that is why, and you've seen this, I'm pretty sure, traders that are looking at several screens, like 6 screens or 4 screens, and they're looking at different movements of the same thing at the same time, and on every chart it's going different. So it's kind of confusing, and not just that, but it takes a lot of brain power to process all this information and find that, because this is the same market, but you're trying to find the very best spot to enter a trade and to exit a trade, yet you have conflicting information. And I recognized this long time ago, because my trading wasn't always great. And basically what I tried to do is figure out how, if there was a way to merge some, or somehow overlay these charts together and find a spot where these would just kind of meet in the same direction at a specific time, right? So, and I started doing this way long ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, maybe more like 15 years ago. In fact, some of you might have seen some of my lectures that are now, 10 plus years old, and they have been seen by over 1 million people around the world. So one of my strategies was based on 3 time frames. And so what I was looking at the long-term art, something like a 4-hour or even a daily chart that would give me what I would call the master direction, the primary direction in which I wanted to trade. That was the main determining, or well, that was the key factor. The other element of the setup was an intermediary chart or intermediate chart that would be on a lower time frame, say an hour or 30 minutes, or maybe even smaller. And I would be looking for the two time frames and the price action to synchronize at the same time. And then finally, I would be using the third chart, which would be the lowest time frame, maybe like a 5-minute or 15-minute. And when all of these directions coincide or synchronize, that would be my signal, right? And this was a very, very successful strategy. In fact, it's been written up. A lot of people around the world have commented on it, and in fact created their own variations of it. And I'm actually pretty proud of it. They call it the Joseph Nemeth multi-timeframe strategy. Okay, so but it's still it has shortcomings, and one of the shortcomings is that it is based, the individual movement of the market are based on time. Now, I, as a trader, I don't really care. I couldn't care less about time. I mean, time, I don't make money on time. I make money on money. What is important to me is price. Price is a lot more important than time. I don't care if a market takes 5 minutes to move a certain amount of dollars for me to make a profit. If it takes 5 minutes or 2 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I want to look at the time. I'm sorry, I want to look at the price, not the time. Time is irrelevant. And the problem with these time charts is that if you look at the short-term chart over here, this short-term trigger chart. That's the big chart on the right. And over here on the left side of the chart, you see these candles, the Japanese candlesticks, that measure price. But every one of these candlesticks, every one of these bars, is the same amount of time. Yet look at the size of them. One almost seems to be a different size. So, but here at the beginning of the chart on the left side, these candlesticks are very, very small, which means that the price is not moving a lot. And then all of a sudden, wham, there's one big candlesticks that comes out of nowhere. Now, and it all happens at the very same time. So if I happen to be at lunch, I'm gonna miss all that movement. In fact, 15 minutes not that long of a time. In an hour, I could miss a whole lot that comes out of nowhere. So what I wanted to do is create something that measures price a lot more accurately than time. And that's when my team started looking at price candles and price measurements, and we came up with the Genius trend chart, which is really not based on time at all. It is based only on price movement. And what you see here is similar to this, except all the noise has been filtered out, and you see clear movements of the market to the downside and upside, right? And if you look at these price candles, they are not based on time. They are based strictly on price, and every one of them is about the same size because it measures the price movement, and the price movement is defined or predefined for the chart, and every candle measures the same amount of price movement. So what you see here is a much clearer depiction or representation of what the market is doing. So what we've done, we've taken it a step further, and we wanted to further identify where the trend is actually breaking, and where it's changing from uptrend to downtrend, and vice versa. And what we did, we just painted the background, and put these arrows on where our algorithms would tell us where the beginning of the trend is. So over here you see there's a down arrow, market's going down, and we put a nice red color behind it. By the way, you can change these colors if you want to. If you don't like green and red, you think it's too much like Christmas, then change it to blue and yellow. I don't care. Whatever turns you on. The colors, though, are representation of the beginning and the end of a trend. So now the trend changes from red to green, which means that it changes from downtrend to uptrend, and then vice versa, and back and forth. And you just simply follow the colors. There you are. That's pretty much all you need to do. So instead of having to look at all those lines and all those indicators that crisscross, and trying to figure out what it all means, you just look at the colors, and we have translated all of that stuff into this type of a view. So this was the old way, basically the old indicators. And also there's a lot of people look at the different charts at the same time and so on, but this is the new way. This is our GTS way, a lot simpler way, I think. And this is what we call a major innovation, because it allows people that don't have the time to study the markets, and markets are very, very fast. They can change before you do your analysis. Markets go in different directions, so you have to be fast. So now what you see in this chart is basically identifying the trend, but we've taken it another couple of steps further than that. What we wanted to do is just like there's in my 3 time frame strategies, I was looking at long-term trend and the intermediate, and then very fast trigger trend. We're looking at the price movement the same way. We're not looking at time, but we're looking at price candles that are maybe 100 ticks, and other price candles that might be 10 ticks or 50 ticks. And then we're also trying to synchronize, because within a price movement or a range of 100 ticks or 100 points, the market might be doing this, might be going up and down, up and down. So I want to get a little more granular, just like I did with my only three time frames, right? I want to see what the market is doing, and try to synchronize the price movement, not necessarily the time movement, but the price movement, and find a better entry into the market. And that gives me a much more accurate entry point, as well as exit point. So before we go into how we trade, what I'd actually like to do is go to my actual chart, right? And I will show you how we build the in I mean in real life, how this thing works, how we build the charts. And actually, what I'll do, so this is a NinjaTrader, my basic chart, but I'll start from the beginning. I'll open a brand new chart. I'll delete this, and first I'll open a brand new chart, a typical brand new chart, say a 60-minute chart of Nasdaq. Okay, so here it is, last 60 days, like 60 minutes. This is what you would see, these types of bars, up down, up down. There's no indicators, just price bars. Okay, and they are time bars based on 60 minutes. So what we do, we have our own, never mind, forget the minutes, forget all that stuff. Once you have downloaded the system, the Genius Trading system, you will find that in the data list of all the data or data options, you will find the Genius price bars. Just click on that, give yourself a tick, just set up a tick trend, which is the number of ticks that you want, approximately number of ticks that you want to measure within a bar. And since I'm trading futures over here, and every tick is 25 points, right? Then 100 ticks would be like 100 divided by 25. This would be like a $4, right? So the price would be moving like $4 or so. So let's look at, and let's add a few more days. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's make these bars a little bigger. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here's our Genius price bars with a 100 tick setting on Nasdaq. And this, we don't really use this to trade on, but this is the data that feeds into our charts. So now if I wanted to interpret this into the trend, then I would go in here. Those of you that know how to use, or those of you that are familiar with NinjaTrader, know exactly what I'm doing. I'm clicking here on indicators, and the squiggly little line, that is the indicator tab. And I will first just pick the Genius simple trend, individual trend, which is the third indicator down. Now, what we have done with the Genius trend charts is that we put an underscore in front of the name, so that you don't have to go through the list of all the indicators that NinjaTrader comes with, and their Genius charts are gonna be sitting. They're gonna settle right on top of the list, so you don't have to look anywhere. You don't have to scroll through here. They're right on top. Okay, so I'm gonna click on this Genius trend, and I'm just gonna, for illustration, I'm just going to use the default settings. In training, we go over what all these settings are, but let's just use the defaults for now. I'll click OK. I loaded in my single trend, and boom, there we go. Okay. So now, from what seemed like a lot of squiggles, right? We have trends. We see where the market's going. I mean, isn't this cool, man? This is cool. This is the coolest thing ever in trading, right? So you don't need any of those other indicators. I mean, this tells you, boom, color change, boom, color change, and here we go, right? So now this is just a single one. I don't trade off of a single trend. I use off of multiple. I trade off of multiple trends, because I like to synchronize my smaller price change or small price move to larger price move, and so on. And I'll show you how to do that. Very, very simple. I'm going back here to my indicators, right? Open my indicator window. I'm gonna toss the single chart, remove that. Okay, come on, remove that. What's going on? I'm stuck. Let's try this again. Okay, here we go. There we go. Removed it. And I'm going to load my 3-in-1, right? My 3-in-1. And I'm going to have to set these parameters a little bit, because if you remember the initial number of ticks on the Genius price bars, which is actually the master trend. However you set your Genius price bars, that's your master trend. So I'm going to set this for smaller, because I'm looking for smaller moves, smaller subtrends. I'm going to set this at 50 and 25, right? So that every time I go to the next chart, my tick number is double the previous number, or the previous chart. I'll just click OK, and look what happens. Well, now the tools are calculating the setups. It will take a few minutes, maybe a couple of minutes, maybe not that long. Shouldn't be that long. Okay, here we go. So what we have here is now you see three clear sections on your screen on the chart. The first one, the top one, that is the master trend. That is the original setting. And the two below are the smaller settings, the faster price movement, and this is the bottom part of the screen. These are the sub trends. So on top here we have the master trend. Top we have the master trend, and down here we have the sub trend. So the idea here is that I'm trying to synchronize the colors so that they all match. And when they match, that is my entry point. And when they mismatch, that's my exit. I'm taking my profit. So pretty simple, right? So don't really need a whole lot of indicators here. This is all you need. And if I stretch this out, I can go back to the beginning of my data, which is maybe like a month or so. So you see clearly on my master chart where the trend was changing, and then correspondingly below, you see the price action on the faster charts, right? And I'll show you how all that works in just a little bit, how we're going to trade with this, right? So here we are. And so if you want to get even more granular, which is the way I trade with a 5-in-1, right? And 5-in-1, I'll show you how to do the 5-in-1. I'm going to toss out the 3-in-1. I'm going to load the 5-in-1, right? And I'm going to similarly, I'm going to make this 60. I'm going to make this 60. This I'm going to make 40. This I'm going to make 20, and this I'm going to make 10. Okay, these are my different tick settings for the other sub charts, right? So I'll go okay, and now we really see what's going on in the market all on one screen. I would have to, in order to be able to see what I'm going to see just in one chart, all lined up right here, okay, I'd have to be looking at 5 different screens, because on top again, we have the master trend, right? The master trend clearly tells me what the prevailing market direction is. Now, of course, it is going to change, and when it's going to change, it's going to be the reversal is going to be delayed, but it doesn't really matter, because I will catch up to it, and the subcharts already give me an early warning what might be happening, right? So on top of here we have the master trend, and below we have the trends. From at the very bottom is the fastest one, and then slower and slower and slower, and the master trend is the slowest. So as you can see, I'll expand this a little further here. Going from left to right, you can see how the fastest trend, or the fastest chart, this fastest band at the bottom, has a lot of more changing of the colors, right? Because it captures all the little corrections, all the little moves of the market. You can, if this is too fast, you can just ignore it, right? Or set it for a higher number. Now, and as we go up, the frequency of the changes gets smaller, right? But at the same time, as we're approaching the change of the master trend, these subtrends give us an early indication that, hey, the trend might be about to change. This is a good time to take your profit, right? So keeping in mind, I showed you how the charts look, and let's get back to how we're going to use this to trade. Okay, so let's go back here to our presentation again. And so there's a strategy that I use, and there's variations of it, and I'm going to give you of an overview. Now there are specific rules to the strategy, and there is exactly 20 rules, not 10, not 15, but 20. And these rules I'm not gonna give you the rules now. They are contained over here in the GST Trading Rules Manual, and you can get PDF of it, and all the rules and are in there. I'm just going to give you an overview so you have an idea of how the charts are used in real trading, right? Okay, so here we have the 3-in-1 chart, and basically what we're going to do is trade and take our trades only in the direction of the master trend. That's the very top chart, very top band on either on the 3-in-1 or the 5-in-1 chart, right? So we will only be net long or net short in the direction of the master trend, never the other way around. Never. It's just thou shall not kill. Okay, that's if the color is green, we will only be net long. If the color is red, we will only be net short, not the other way around. Now, so once the master trend has changed color, has established a new direction, we've identified a new trend, then we will be taking trades off of the sub trends, right? So once the master trend is established, we wait for a color change signal from any one of the sub trends. So we don't necessarily go and open a trend when open a trade when the master trend changes. We will wait until we have a color change on one of the sub trends. So in this particular example, going from left to right, because that's the press of time, our master trend changed. That's where this arrow shows. I put a yellow circle around it. And then at this time, both the sub trends are green. So we will wait for a new green signal. And that new green signal comes down here. I'm not sure if you can see let me change this to a laser pointer. So the first signal to enter a trade comes on this green bar when this red on the very bottom subtrend, on the fastest subtrend, changed into green, from red to green. That's our first signal. Now our first signal on the slower subtrend is right here, and then the next signal would be here. And then so every time while the master trend is green, we look at changes of color from red to green on the subtrends, right? Pretty simple, right? All right, so here's the master trend, and these two are the subtrends. Moving on. So we will enter new trades at the beginning of a color change on any subtrends, and I've identified those entries with these yellow arrows, so you can clearly see, right? You can clearly see where the entries are. So if you miss one entry, no worries, there will always be another one, because the markets don't move in straight line up. They just kind of go up and down, and they also correct. So you don't want to get into a trade at the very end of a move. You want to wait for a little bit of a retracement and get in when the trend resumes, right? Fair enough. So we only trade only in the direction of the master trend. Now, so there's a GTA strategy overview. Obviously, we're going through it, and so there's a couple other things that I want to show you, because over here on this chart we open trades, right? With these yellow arrows, we actually opened new trades. Now there's got to be a way to take our profit, and that's what we do here. So I have actually identified with the blue arrows the time when it, or the point at which it is a good time to take your profit if you happen to have profit. So we take profit when any sub color changes. In other words, we entered the trade when the colors of the subtrend matched the color of the master trend. We exit the trades and take our profit when the colors of the turn against the master trend, right? So take profit when any subtrend color changes. If your trade is not in profit, just let it ride. Don't worry about it. You'll get it next time, or your trade will become a hedge trade later down the road once the trend changes. Now, once we've taken our profit, we don't have any other trades, and the market continues in the same direction, then we simply re-enter based on the same rules as we opened the trade. So we re-enter on any subsequent new signal that comes from the trends, right? So depending on which chart we use, if I use 3-in-1, I would be net one trade. I can trade one. If I'm using the 5-in-1, because there are more signals, more entry opportunities, and more exit opportunities, I can trade 2 to 3 trades at the same time. So I can trade a larger position, but individually, because I can, in this particular case right here, let me do the pointer again. So I can come into a new trade right in here, right in here, right in here. So I have more opportunities, and same way I have more opportunities to exit, right? So moving on. Now, what happens when we are in a trade and the market changes and doesn't give us a profit? That is a good question. We will hedge, and then eventually we will reverse our position. But there are two rules when we hedge, and they go like this. And this is very important because it is part of our risk management. When the direction of the market changes, we're not gonna hold a trade that it'd be like trying to swim against the stream. So we don't want to do that. But so the two rules for the hedging is that if we're using the 3-in-1, if we're trading on the 3-in-1 chart, then we hedge immediately when all three colors change. If we're using the 5-in-1 chart, then we will hedge when the 4 trends change the color that is opposite of the master trend. And then when the master trend changes, obviously we're in the opposite trend, and we will be trading in the opposite direction, right? Now, if we have a hedge position and now the original trend resumes its direction, then no problem. We will close that hedge position the same way we would close any other trade, depending on whether we're in profit or not, based on the color change of the sub trends, right? So okay, so we enter, we exit, we hedge, we exit, we enter again, and we exit. Now the other thing is that you might find yourself from time to time that you have more than one trade open, because you opened one on one signal and then open another one, and then maybe you weren't in profit, and the market continued, and then maybe you had some shorts and some longs at the same time. Always what you do, always try to group several trends together, several trades together. So could be 3 longs or 2 longs and a short, two shorts and a long, and so on. And this is part of the dollar cost average rules in the strategy. So if I have more than one trend, more than one, then I try to group them together and match them up so that my aggregate is always a profit. So in this particular example, if I have, like, let's just say these 3 longs, one long is plus 100, the other one is plus 50, but on another long that I might have opened long time ago, or market just went against me, I'm minus 125. If I add them all together, I'm still 25 plus. So rather than having 3 trades open, I'll just take my 25 points, $25, whatever it happens to be. And, I'm going to take the money off the table and then wait for another opportunity to open another trade. Similarly, over here we have 2 shorts that we're in profit, and a long is going against us, or maybe the shorts are now going against us. I'm not really sure because I don't see the charts where these came from. But in any event, I have 2 positives against 1 big negative. I'm just gonna close it out and take my $15 or whatever it might be profit. Could be 150 or 10, and that's it. Take him off the table, right? Moving on. When the master trend changes, guess what happens? The same process gets repeated, except in the other direction. That's all there is to it. If we go from short to long or long from short, we start, instead of buying, we start selling. Instead of selling, we start buying. And we basically keep repeating over and over the same thing. So don't worry if you don't remember these rules or the exact parameters of the strategy. Everything's covered in this PDF. You can have that, or you can, in fact, I think later this week, you should be able to download it from the website, right? So now let's look at an example from last Friday, and this is the actual chart. It's a 15-minute chart of NASDAQ on February 3rd, 2023, which was the last trading day. Today's February 5th, and I'm going to show you how we traded that with the GTS charts, right? So I only trade 3 symbols. I only trade indexes, and they are the U.S. Dow Jones Industrial Index, the NASDAQ 100, and the S&P 500. I only trade those 3 instruments, nothing else. Nothing else interests me because I don't necessarily need a whole lot of volatility, because with options and these, I have a lot of leverage. With CFDs, I get a 200 to 1 leverage. So for every $1 that I put into a trade, I'm buying a $200 position. And then with options on the S&P 500, obviously I get a lot of leverage there as well. So looking at, in this particular case, NASDAQ, this is actually NASDAQ futures, which doesn't really matter because the prices might be off a little bit, but really they trade the very same way. And if you were to look at the average daily range of NASDAQ or NASDAQ futures, you see that, give or take, not probably, but it's about 300 points between the low of the day and the high of the day. The market will be oscillating somewhere in between for the most part. Some days it might be 200, other days might be 500, but if you average it out, it will be about 300. And this is a fairly typical day for NASDAQ. There was a low price of approximately 1250. I rounded it off because I don't like to be worrying about those extra small numbers. So we've got the low of 12,560 and the high of 12,860, which is exactly 300 point difference between high and low. Very, very typical for NASDAQ. So let's move on here. All right, but before we do that, before we go into the actual example, let me ask you a simple question, maybe very obvious question. Why do you trade? What is the purpose of your trading? If you're a trader, why do you do that? Because really 95% of the people fail. 95% of the people that trade lose money. So why do you trade? And I find, I've talked to literally thousands of people over the course of my career, and I find that most people who trade, it's not necessarily the lack of skill, but they fail in trading because they do not have a consistent strategy. They wake up every morning and they don't really know what they're going to do. They do not have a repeatable, consistent strategy. They sometimes don't even know what they're going to trade. One day they trade forex, other days they trade stocks and then indexes, and every day is different. So they're just kind of shooting from the right. So and I find also people that do not have clearly defined trading goals. They wake up every morning and they think, well, okay, I think I'm gonna trade Tesla today, and we'll see what happens. Like, that's just to have the totally wrong approach. Okay, because having a specific goal and a specific, not just short term, not just for today, but also long term, how much money do I want to make this month, right? It's like having a roadmap. You're going on a long trip, you've never been there, and how are you going to get there if you don't have a roadmap? Or today, it used to be, back in, I'm old now, back in the day, we used to have a map. Literally, we would read a map. Now we've got GPS, lot better. But if you don't have a roadmap, you're not gonna get to where you're going, guaranteed, 100%. Okay, you will not reach your destination if you do not know how to get there. And most people just don't have a goal. They wake up and they say, "Well, we'll see what happens." And you know what happens? They lose money. No goals, no consistent. Their street changes every day. Every day they use a different indicator, and it doesn't work. So let me take the liberty of setting up some goals for you. I mean, you're going to adjust these based on your available capital and your risk tolerance and so on. But let me give you an idea of what is possible in trading. Okay, so there it is. I prepared a little chat. We actually, in our training, we teach how to achieve 2 to 3% consistently, 2 to 3% per day in trading. But for that, you need to have a strategy. You have to have patience. You need to have consistency. But let's just look at 1%, right? So what if you could make 1%? You started off with a $10,000 account, right? And if you could make just 1% on that $10,000 account, right? That would be making $100, right? And the next day you would make $100, and the next day $100, and so on for the first week, and then you'd have $500 at the end of the week. Now, when I say it this way, it doesn't sound like a whole lot. Just like, don't quit your daytime job, right? Not a whole lot of money. $10,000, you make 100. This is why most people don't have the patience. But then if you compound that and you make another 1%. Now, granted, not every day you're going to make 1%. Some days you will make zero, other days you'll make 2%. Some days you'll lose 1%, and then next day you will make 3%. Right? So don't take this like every day you have to make 1%, because the market may not give you 1% every day. Some days it will give you a whole lot more, right? But the question is, can you have a goal of of to make 1% per day? Because if you do, then at the end of first month you've got $12,000 and change, right? You made $2,000. Well, maybe still don't quit your daytime job, but you're getting started. And then if you're consistent and patient, guess what? With that lousy 1% per day, at the end of 1 year, you have what? Over $100,000. And that's not so bad now, is it? And if you do that one more year, one more time, if you just repeat that, then at the end of 2 years, you have over $1 million, starting with $100 a day, right? And then some people tell me, well, this is simple math. But it's ridiculous. Well, you can't argue with math. This is the way it is. And anybody who is patient enough and consistent enough, you can't argue with math. You would achieve that. In fact, I have done this lot faster than in 1 year, right? So now, we teach 2 to 3%, right? So if you can do so, right here, in 1 year, 1% a day, 1 year, $100,000, 2 years, $1 million. So what if you could do 2% using the system and a consistent strategy? In 1 year, you have almost $1 million, starting with 10,000. So let's go do it. Okay. So can you make 1% a day, 5% a week? That would give you, again, 100,000 in 1 year, 1 million in 2 years. Now, some weeks you may not make 5%. Some weeks you'll make zero. Next week you'll make 10. It's an average. You average it out. And I like NASDAQ because NASDAQ is not too volatile, doesn't have crazy moves like some of the Forex pairs do, or or some of the stocks like Tesla, or they have crazy moves. I like something that is consistent, doesn't move a whole lot, but at the same time gives me enough of the movement so that I can make decent money. So, with roughly about 300 points range, average daily range, and trading these, to open a 1 unit trade, I only need a $60 margin. I only need $60 at today's prices, right? With my 200 to 1 CFD leverage, I only need $60 to open 1 unit of NASDAQ CFD, trading CFDs, right? So last time, can you make $100 a day with a $10,000 account? Okay, here we are back to our chart, right? Back to Friday. NASDAQ moves roughly about 300 points average every day. But obviously that was not the only move. Within the low and the high, there were intermediary moves. So the market started roughly here at 12,670, then went down a little bit to 12,580, then it went up to 12,760, then it went down again, and then it raised back up to the day's high, 12,860, and finally ending up the day and the week at 12,600, right? So now looking at this chart, how would you trade this, right? I mean, clearly in hindsight, you can see these moves. I mean, there are 5 moves, 3 to the downside, 2 to the upside. But how would you really trade this? What indicators would you use, right? So on this move, you potentially could have made 90 points. Here you could have made 180. Here you could have made 200. There you could have made 300, and here you would have made 260. But let's be realistic. Nobody's going to catch the top and bottom of every single move. Now, altogether, there was a potential of give or take 1,000 points to be made this day on this particular instrument, right? 1,030 points one day on NASDAQ that moves that has an average range of 300 points. Now, how did we trade this using GTS? Okay, so here we are, GTS 5-in-1. On top, we have the master trend, right? There's the master trend, and then we have 4 sub-trends, right? Now, I actually circled the arrows where the trend changed. First, it started off as a downtrend, then it changed to uptrend, then down, then up again, and finally ended the day down. So if we look back, we can clearly see these 5 ding moves. And that's exactly what we have on the master chart, right? Now, looking at this chart, this would be like, where do I go in? Where do I come in? Where's my entry? Where do I take my profit, right? But looking at our chart, we know exactly we see exactly where the colors change. Now, remember earlier I explained where we take trades. And so we take trades when the colors change on the subtrends, on the faster trends, not necessarily on the master trend. We take trades in the direction of the master, but we enter and exit when we get an indication when the color changes on the subtrends. So looking back here, I basically put down these arrows. These would have been entry signals, and every one of them is a decent, not everyone's the best entry signal. You're not going to find every entry signal being the best. Some will be better than others, obviously. Now, the yellow ones are the entries that I did not take. The purple ones, these were the trade signals that I personally took, right? So there were about 30 clear trading signals on this chart. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see a color change from red to green and from green to red. Doesn't take a whole lot of brain power to figure that out, right? So I opened new trades on these purple arrows. The yellow ones, they either got away from me or I was taking a nap. Obviously this is a whole day. I don't trade all day, or I was taking a shower, who knows, whatever. I found 9 trades when I was at the computer. I opened 9 trades, right? So how did it all work out? How did these trades work out for me using the system? Now, if you're using the same system, maybe you take some other trades, maybe you take the same trades. But I entered the first trade, follow my laser pointer here. I took the first trade. It was not a very good trade. Well, it was a decent trade, but I didn't get into a profit. I had to hedge. In other words, the market changed on me to the point where 4 of the subtrends turned green when the master trend was red. So I hedged long. Then I opened another trade, and that was a long. Trade number 2. Same thing happened. Didn't quite make anything on it yet because the market started going down, and then I ended up hedging with a short. And the reason why, and that hedge is right here on this blue line, because all four subtrends turn against the master trend. So is the trend going to change? Is it not? I don't know. But that is good enough of an indication to me that says, okay, better safe than sorry. Okay, so far I haven't made anything. No big deal. Day goes on. I took a little time off here, and then I took my third trade, which was another short. Now on this short, I made 28 points because I closed it down here. Now then the market changed again and reversed. I don't know what I was doing in between here. This is kind of I don't know, maybe I was sleeping. Who knows? I don't necessarily remember, but I took another trade, which was along into this long master trend, green master trend. I took another signal. This was a pretty good signal. I made 67 points here. And then the next one I took a long and I made 88 points there. Then I took another long and I made 51 and 30 points. Now, at this point, the trend appears that it wants to be changing, and in fact, it is changing. So I closed out the original, the original long and the long hedge. I only made about 8 points, but it's better to take it off the table, right? Then I entered a couple of shorts. I made 60, 65, and 18 points. The day is closing to an end. I'm in my short hedge, and I closed that, and I ended up making 11 trades for the day for a total of 370 points, right? On those 5 moves, I just followed the color change, which is 33, average 33 points per trade. So every time there's a trade, every time I click on something, that's 33 points, 33 points, 33 points on the average. Not every day is going to be like that, but that just turned out to be that way on Friday. So there's no need, with the GST charts, I don't need to be looking at any other indicators like I would on the old type of old style chart. There's no lines crossing or anything like that. I don't need any of that. No need for confusing indicators. Basically, we just have green and red and arrows and directions changing, and just follow the colors like a traffic signal. Green, red, green stop, red go, and then sometimes you hedge. All right. So the question is, which chart would you use if you were a serious trader? Which chart would you like to use? Right? One that is confusing, or one that has clear trading signals, clear as day. Okay, so let me point out a couple other things. So going back to a question, can you make 1% a day? So these are just using. I only use the GTS system, nothing else. I don't look at other charts anymore. It doesn't matter to me what is going on those. I just look, and I trade off of 5-in-1. But so this is just some of my results. This is literally screenshots off of my trading account. So these are daily. Can you make 1% a day? These are daily results: 7.3%, 8.72%, 10.6% per day, 8.7% per day, 9.1% per day, 9% per day, different day, 12% per day. Over here, this is from my Schwab, right? With not, yeah, it's good, but not as good as some of the other ones. Again, not every day is gonna be a 5% day, but you kind of get the picture. So 5.4% on this one, 8% here, 8.7%. These are daily, 15.5% per day. This was a good day. 33% per day. It's my best day ever. 30. That's a good day. Now, can you make 1% per day following green and red colors on a chart? That's my question. Follow the arrows, follow the colors, follow the chart, right? And so which brings me kind of to the close. My 3 keys to achieving your trading goals: stay focused, be patient, do not overtrade. If you have a $2,000 account, don't put it all in one trade. Put small amount. It's better to manage your trading sequence with multiple small trades than to get into a big trade and the trade goes against you. Stay focused, be patient, and we teach this. We teach this with our students. Okay, do not overtrade. Have your goals in front of you at all times. I have my 3% per day in front of me every single day. Every single day I review how much I need to make. Not every day I make it, but it's okay. At least I'm focusing on my goal. And stick to your strategy. Don't deviate from the strategy. Every day you try to do something different, and have a strategy that is consistent and that works and it's easy to execute and implement. So with that, I think I've exhausted my material for today. I wish you guys, all of you, the best of success. Reserve, if you like what you see or what you saw, reserve your own GTS package at geniustradingsystems.com. If you have any questions, send them to our email, and I certainly hope to see you at one of our next seminars, be it trading or another presentation like this, or maybe getting really granular with the individual charts, setting up the charts for different instruments, different markets, etc. Again, thanks for your time. I think I've exhausted more than an hour, and hopefully you're able to see the benefits of the new Genius Trading System. Having said that, all the best, good luck, see you next time. Ciao.